Hi, everyone. Welcome to Shine TV. We are so excited and thankful to have Tony Tilli here with us today. He is a New York commercial agent. He works with Abbey Lynn Models in New York, and they are awesome. They do all kinds of print and on-camera stuff. Tony himself is a child performer or actor, both?
Both. I sang.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. And he also has a degree in musical theater, so he just knows every side of the camera. I have heard him speak, and he gave so much knowledge last time. So I'm gonna set the bar high for him. It was incredible. Uh, I think if you want to have an understanding of how the commercial print industry works, you will get that today. Please make sure to set your chat to everyone seeing it. And if you have questions, you can just put them right in the chat at the bottom and we'll keep track of them. At the end, Tony will open up time for that. Thank you so much. Tony, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me today, and thank you for coming or watching this in the future. My name is Tony Tilli. I am a senior model booker with Abbey Lynn Models. We are a boutique agency. We're located in Dumbo, Brooklyn, but we work in the New York market, and we have clients and models all over the country. We work with talent teens and above, all the way up to 60s, 70s, 80s, 80 years old. And we work in the commercial world. So that is anything and everything under the sun that is advertising based. So that's on-camera commercials, commercial print, voiceovers, e-commerce, in-store events. And we're working with mainly advertising brands or brands that are trying to advertise their products. I mean, from Cheetos to Botox to Revlon, Maybelline, Peloton, Chili's, some Strivectin work. So we do some beauty and fashion. The fashion we might do is like TJ Maxx or Kohl's or something like that. So nothing of like the high fashion sort. We have been an agency for about a little over 6 years now. And Abby, who is a real person, she was at a commercial agency before making her own agency. And before that, she was working at Wilhelmina. So she had an idea of the way that the fashion world worked and the commercial world worked. And she wanted to make a commercial agency that was upfront and honest and really on the side of the talent and making sure that everything went smoothly from beginning to end. So we are a boutique agency in that sense that we take a little bit more of a specialized approach to you when it comes to submitting you and making sure that you are getting in front of the right clients. We don't have a very large roster, so we never have to have anyone reach out to us and like remind us of themselves. I mean, I'm looking at your photos every day, I'm submitting you every day, and we're making sure that our models are out there and getting into the rooms that they need to be in. I've been in the industry for a little bit over 20 years now. I was working as a child actor in TV, film, theater in New York and things like that. Then I got my BFA in theater performance from Chapman University. Look it up, great place. And then I worked for casting, Laura Stanczyk Casting. So we did Broadway shows and off-Broadway shows. For about a year, I was casting associate there, and then moved over to becoming an agent at Abbey Lynn Models. So I've hit every point of like the entertainment triangle. So I feel like I've accomplished that, and now I want to, talk a little bit about it. Mainly that today we're going to talk about the fact that really anyone, and I mean anyone, truly can be a commercial model. Now, before anyone can really like grasp onto that and believe that, we got to break it down for you. So when you hear commercial model, you think, oh, model. Okay, I know what a model is. That's not me. I'm not going to be walking a runway in Paris. And totally, that might not be you. But that is a very specific type of modeling. That's the modeling that has been, kind of popularized with America's Next Top Model and all different kinds of runways that were, they are a big part of the fashion industry, but they're not the only modeling. That's a very specific type of modeling because they are usually modeling the clothing in an editorial or or on the runway. So it's more about the clothing, where with the type of modeling we do in the commercial world, it's for the masses. You are trying to sell a product that anyone all over the country could buy at any time. So it's more important to have talent that is that they are more looking and feeling like the average person, or someone that would actually be buying this product and really being happy about it. So if you kind of look at modeling through that lens, it takes a different turn. So you kind of got to look around and say, if there's other parts of modeling, where is it? So if you look at billboards, if you look at PSAs, if you're in, public transportation, the things on the billboards on buses or inside the subway, you need to look at if you have a textbook. Is there like a guide going through the textbook for you and it's a person? That's a type of modeling. There's so many different ways to sell a product, and the best way is to have someone who is using it or is looking very happy using it, and that is where our models come in. We represent the kind of people that are the aspirational type. Everyone always asks me, what is my type in the commercial world? What can I do in there? And nobody is happy when they hear that I really can't answer that question, because there are so many different things that you could be going in for in advertising in 1 week. I mean, you could be going in for the dog food as the veterinarian, and then a competing dog food brand next week as the pet owner. There's so many different things. If you look out there, there's different, maybe you're the doctor or the patient or the post person or the person getting the mail. It's really dependent on, I would say, age and height. So when you're thinking, what's my type? Look at the type that you are presenting age-wise. If you are like 60 years old, but you're actually presenting 40, okay, what kind of 40-year-old men or women, are in commercials that I see or on the posters that I see? And those are the kind of people that are being booked. So it can really be anyone at any time, but it depends on what age you are. I would say that it depends on what kind of work you're going to be doing, because obviously the younger set, teens and 20s are going to be more for maybe some, younger skincare, or it's going to be a little bit more technology based, maybe music stuff. And different ages are going to have different products they're selling. Doesn't mean they're going to have different types. I mean, of course, they'll have a lot of different types, but think more about who is out there selling a product, and, how could you be a part of it? Because as much as, they could be doing a pharmaceutical that's targeted to 65-year-old men, in the commercial, they could have, the man with his wife talking to their doctor about the drug or something like that. So all of a sudden there's all these different other roles. And all different types of ages, but they're all different roles that you could probably play if you're in that age range. So it's really, really broad, the type of things that you're going to be going in for, and the, your type. So when I said that, you should be an aspirational look, that kind of just means that you should be the best version of yourself that you can be walking into the door for the casting or the booking or whatever it is. So that means, your hair is clean and healthy, and however you like to wear it, it's that, it looks shiny if you like it that way, a little more matte if that's who you are, go that way. A nice smile, great complexion. It looks like you take care of yourself. Your clothing's a little bit more well fitted. The colors that are kind of matching your skin tone and making your eyes pop if you have bright blue eyes. So those are the kind of people we're looking for, because those are the kind of people that are going to be booking the jobs. I mean, if you watch the commercials on TV, they are people that you would aspire to be, because, well, marketing is trying to tell you that you aspire to be them because they're drinking Coca-Cola. But the truth is that because those people look like they're having the best time of their life, they have it all together, and also they're drinking Coca-Cola. And then there's some psychological, like, well, I'm going to be happy if I drink Coca-Cola, but that's not what we're talking about today. What you got to focus on is being the best version of you that you can be, as well as having the personality that's going to stand out to the casting director, as well as to the commercial. When we meet new models, it's usually in person. Right now it's through Zoom and through virtual things, but we never really take on anyone until we meet them, because we want to make sure that their energy in the room and how they present themselves and talk about themselves is going to be something that attracts our client. Because you got to think, when you go into an audition, they're not only judging your talent or maybe your look or maybe how close you look to the kids that they already have booked for the job. They also are checking to see if you are someone that they want to spend 12 hours a day on set with, or maybe, you know, you have to go to a different state for the week and shoot, or maybe you booked a cruise line and you have to be on a boat with these people for 7 days. So you also need to, they're also checking that. So you need to kind of pop in the industry by making sure that you are a little bit ahead of the game, a little bit more, you know, witty about it. You know that you're kind of going in and you're going to be probably doing acting that's a little bit more exaggerated than you're used to. So you need to rise to that occasion and to that level. Because I booked a Chili's commercial. I booked the mom and the dad in it. And they were there, they were having their dinner and really having a good time with their kids. And if you watch the commercial, they all look way too excited to be having burgers at Chili's. Like, it is absolutely insane. They are smiling wide and laughing, and the father's like trying to grab the son's fry. It's very intense, but we are all conditioned to just think they're having a great time. It's a commercial, you know, it's normal. So you have to know that you kind of have to bring that second level of excitement, that, you know, you're really enjoying, you know, the Chili's burger, but you have to be even more excited about it outwardly. So when you walk into the room for a casting, know that they might have you do something that is maybe like 1 or 2 lines of a scene, or maybe like, you know, I like this product because, or 1 or 2 lines from the commercial that you might be doing, or they might ask you to do an improv scene. So a lot of the time, the auditions that you're going to be having will be involving maybe another person, and they'll say, okay, so you guys are walking your dog, and, you know, the one you say that you're really hungry, and you try to figure out ideas until that you come to the idea of Burger King. Go. And you have to figure out that scene. So a lot of people also ask me, you know, what's my type? What kind of training do I need to have in this industry? Luckily, there isn't too much training, other than, I would say, maybe a great commercial class from, you know, a great accredited acting area, or, you know, an acting conservatory or conglomerate or curriculum that you know of that is offering a commercial class. Just getting those basics in, understanding, you know, what your role is when you get to set and what it's going to be like, and, you know, that kind of experience. Having that knowledge is going to make sure that when you do book, you're going to be booking again with that client. You know, you don't get on set and you're like, I don't know what's going on. What am I doing? And all of a sudden they're going overtime. You just want to have that knowledge in your brain before you go. Also, having improv training is very, very helpful. A lot of our clients actually ask for improv training sometimes. They'll ask what the improv training is and specifically what they have done. If it's, you know, Upright Citizens Brigade Theater or Second City, or one of the other kind of bigger improv studios, they'll ask the information, where did they study? Because it's important to them. They want to make sure the people that are coming in, that they're calling in based on their look at this point, because they haven't even seen you act. They want to make sure that they do have the training, and they're going to come in, do the work that they need you to do, and it's going to go off without a hitch. And they're not going to see 5 people who, you know, oh wait, they don't have improv training yet. They might not be right for this. They look great, but they don't have the energy. They don't have that ability to just start and have a beginning, middle, and an end storyline from, you know, just a prompt. And that's fine, but they want to know that beforehand. So having that training gives you that edge, gets you kind of in the rooms a little bit more in the commercial world. So I would say that's probably the best training that you can have in the world, as well as working on your basic interview skills. Because if you think about it, each of your auditions is an interview. It's just, you're just asking to see if you can get in for the job and if you're right for this particular role. So knowing that, having the, you know, kind of decorum that you need to have, walking into the room with a big smile on your face, even when you're going in for interviews with agencies like mine, walk into the room and walk into the door like, not like you own the place, but that you're confident that you're going to be able to find the person that you need and get where you need to go in like a happy, kind, positive manner. Because a lot of people walk in the door and they kind of look a little confused and they're not sure if they're in the right room. And I mean, that's fine. We're there to help you and let you know where to go. But bring in that confidence, because this is the first time that we're going to see you in real life most of the time, unless you have a rapport with the casting agent or whatever it is. So be sure that this is a very important moment, that you walk in full confidence, knowing that you're going to get where you need to go. Because our office is situated where you walk in and we're right there. We have a long table of agents and we're doing our work. So some people are expecting maybe a receptionist there, or, you know, something else to be there, that they can have a moment to kind of figure out where they need to go. Assume that you're like, gotta be on as soon as you open the door. Big smiles, happy to be there. Really nice and complimentary to anyone who's, you know, the receptionist, who maybe someone who's working the casting, you know, always saying thank you, and being flexible. You know, maybe you have to wait a little bit of time. In the commercial world, when I say they, I mean like casting directors tend to not always think about the amount of people they're calling in, because sometimes it is just based on luck and they're looking to find someone for that Coca-Cola ad. So they can have a ton of people and do the casting that way. And I know a lot of actors can think, oh wow, there's a lot of people here, I don't want to waste my time, it's not, you know, great odds. That's just kind of how our side of the industry works. And there's always kind of going to be a little bit of wait time that you might have, because we can't control how many people that the casting director wants to see. But we know, at least with our agency, that we work off request castings. So that means that we've already submitted your photos to the project or the casting director, and they've come back and said, we would like to see this person at this time. So we know that they've already seen your stuff and definitely want to see you. We don't really work in the open call world unless the client only works that way and they're a great client. We don't just kind of send anyone on a casting so that we can say that they had a casting. It's not how we work. Sometimes agencies will ask you, oh, in 6 months, if you don't hear from me, reach out and, you know, let me know, and then you'll have a casting the next day. Not really how it happens with us, because we're always kind of working for you. But know that we're the kind of agency that's working on a request basis. And if you kind of value your time and value to know that your agency is sending you in for the right thing and making sure that you're getting into the right rooms, work with agencies that have more request castings than not. Because if you find yourself going in for kind of these cattle call auditions where it's all different types and it's like you're not exactly sure what you're doing there and the wait is like out the door, might not be the best use of your time. Because it's definitely not the best use of our time either. We would rather be sending you out on the right stuff, book you, and then book you on the next thing and keep it rolling. So always be working with the agencies that you feel are getting you the right stuff. You know, and the process is probably going to be a little bit easier than if you're an actor, because you might have just an improv scene or maybe one line of text to do, or you might need to go in and tell them a funny story. And it might, and the actual process, other than maybe the waiting time, will be pretty quick. You'll go in, talk to the casting director, maybe take some photos if it's for a print shoot, and that will probably be it. That makes it kind of hard for people because they start to think, you know, oh, I didn't get it. Why was it? It must have been me. When it's there's so many factors that go into making sure that you're the right fit for a commercial job, because they are making those families or they're making those groups of friends. And another thing that might factor into your, you know, bookability is your height. Because if you look like you're 17, but you're a 6-foot woman, it's going to be hard to match you with the family that's, you know, that's all that tall, because height actually really messes with people's brains. I'm 5'7", and I'm always going to look much younger than I am because I'm just shorter. That's the way people think. So being in the right height is very important. But that's really might be the only thing that's going to really hinder you. There are going to be those moments where they want to go with someone with a different color hair. But it really is barely ever about your delivery or your ability to do, you know, the reading or what they were asking you to do. Of course, unless you don't do it or you do it at such a low level of energy, they're like, we can't bring her up, or bring him, you know, give him a little direction and get him more excited. If that's not happening, we're not going to book the job. But hopefully you'll get in there, bring a lot of energy, and be asked to be put on option. That's like the next step in our process. So they'll come to us and they'll say, we'd like to put them on option for August 19th and 20th. We'll let you know, and you can give us the first option, which means that if something else comes along on those dates for you, you have to let them know, oh, I'm holding this date for another job or another client, and I have to wait until they have an answer for me before I can accept your job, and let them know it's a you know, second option there. So hopefully you'll be put on option, you're good to go, and then they book you. And in the commercial world, we, at least my agency, the agency we work with, we like to be there with you for the entire process. So we are going to be signing the talent releases on your behalf. We're going to be making sure that everything that we agreed upon when it came to rate and usage is still, carrying over to the booking, and making sure that everything is on the up and up. And if you need a manicure, is there a reimbursement for that? If you need to travel to a different state, how are we doing that? That's what we're here for. I don't know, there are some agencies sometimes that are like, you booked the job, have a good life, we'll take the commission later, and then you have to figure it out. But that's not how we work. And some people are fine with that. Some people kind of like to be in control, and they can be in touch with production. But if you want to work with an agency, it's kind of best to be able to work with an agency that you trust to be able to take you through those steps, and you don't feel like you have to step in. So we'll take you through that whole process and make sure that everything that we know, we're going to tell you. I have had moments where I get all the information from the client, everything's good to go, and then a model gets on set and they say, wait a second, you said this was only for video, but they're shooting, still images of me as well. What are you doing? Huh? What's going on? In those moments when you get on set and something might have changed, do your best to be a little bit flexible and a little bit understanding. Take a breath, figure out what went wrong, figure out where the miscommunication went, and figure it out with your agent. Because a lot of the times, it'll feel like the agent might not have told you. They might tell you on set, oh, of course we told your agency that you would be swimming with sharks today. Why didn't they tell you? Trust, if that ever happened with me, you would know. But they'll try to convince you, they are on the up and up, and they told their agent. So reach out to the agent. Hey, this is happening. You never let me know what might have happened here. 90% of the time, 99% of the time, there was a miscommunication, and or the client just did not let us know about that information, whether they truly forgot about it or it was a last minute addition and they didn't worry about it, who knows. But that's typically it. If you feel like you're working with an agency that is constantly not giving you information, and they're always having that issue, maybe it's time to work with someone else. But try to trust and know that your agency is there to represent you and make sure that you are taken care of and you are never put in any compromising positions. So when things do change on set, reach out and know that we're your teammate. We're on your side. We're rooting for you. We're rooting with you and making sure that everything goes well. So reach out, give us the information, and we will figure it out for you. I had it happen last week, to be honest. And I spoke about it with the client, and we negotiated, because it was some additional usage I didn't know about, negotiated a higher rate. There we go. So that's kind of what we're there for to do. So that's kind of the entire process of what it would be like to kind of go through the commercial booking. Luckily, in our industry, we are always booking. There's no seasons. Target can do a commercial whenever they want to do one. They'll probably do one for Christmas and for spring and things like that, but they can be marketing a product no matter what, whenever, wherever. So we're always booking, we're always looking, and we're always looking for new talent. That's kind of what I love about the industry, and what I love about what we're doing is that you can be on a set for Crayola one week and then, on a cruise the next, if you're really booking really good. But there's so much variety, and it doesn't take too long. So you can even, go and do a contract if you want to be a theater actor as well. And go do that, and then come back to New York, or come back to your major market and do some print jobs, make some money, and then go do another theater job. It's also very helpful when you are someone who does have a regular job and has the flexibility. In the beginning, I said, anyone can be a model, and it's definitely true. Not only is that because the industry is luckily, thankfully, kind of being a little bit more inclusive about the people that are being put into marketing materials these days. I say little because it's like 1%, and we're working towards more. I know I am. But we are seeing things move and change. So not only are they looking for the aspirational type, but they're looking for truly the guy who looks like he is the construction worker. The person that has that feel like they really have been behind a taxi cab for many, many years. So they're looking for those real authentic people as well. Not only is that what they're looking for in terms of personality, but also in your job. It's hard to definitely work as a commercial model if you have a 9-to-5 job, I will say. Thankfully, these days you can kind of send in your self-tape and still be available for the job and, make it happen. But, fingers crossed, when we're back into in-person castings, if you are near a major market, you're going to be working with clients that are going to expect you to come in for the casting and to be able to meet you in person. So you need to be able to have that availability to go in maybe at a moment's notice, maybe the day before, like you'll find out the day before, you'll find out on a Friday, and you have to go in on Monday. You need to kind of have a job with that flexibility. I definitely have not seen anyone that we've worked with who's been able to kind of maintain that structured, definite 9-to-5. A lot of people have jobs that are, either at night, or they understand their, their job understands their pursuits in the modeling world. So they kind of give them that leeway or whatever it is. But having a career or a past career or a specific skill or a specific trade that is very helpful in this industry, because they're looking for not only real people who look like they are taxi cab drivers, but who actually have a taxi cab and can, drive you around the city, and it can be, a PSA for how great New York City is. They're looking for the people with those skills, because if you look at, even like sports drink commercials, there are people doing backflips on wakeboards. So people who are not technically models but have those specific skills are modeling a product in a commercial. So truly having those specific skills or those trades that are important. I know that we have people who are butchers by trade, who are secretaries, who are stenographers who can write shorthand, and a commercial wanted them to do that. So there's always things to be doing in this world that could be possibly connected to your career or something you used to do. So that's something I also love. We get to work with people who are models and in the industry and are trying to become an actor or whatever it is, but also, real people. And it's fun to see the average person all of a sudden is on a billboard in Times Square, and you're like, how did we do that? I don't know, but I love it. So truly anyone can be a commercial model in that respect. I think mainly when I speak about advice and tips and what should I do? Number one, figure out where you are in your career. If you're an actor and you want to be a professional actor and you want to be SAG, or you are SAG and you want to stay in the union, go for it. Definitely do that and work towards becoming, the next Leonardo DiCaprio or Robert De Niro, and work on those commercial jobs that are SAG. But if you are not really interested in that, you can stay in the non-union world. I work in the non-union world all the time. We do both union and non-union jobs, but a bulk of our work is in the non-union world. That's because print does not have any union jurisdiction, which means there's no union for print, and so really anyone can do a still photo. But when it comes to video, it's union and non-union. Non-union does not mean that there are less rights for the model or less protection. There are still talent releases. There are still things that are being signed to make sure that everything that was agreed upon before the job is going to go through with it, and that everyone is going to be safe, especially in this pandemic time. We have paperwork and waivers and things like that to figure out trace testing and making sure that you come to set and you haven't been traveling and all this stuff. So we're really on top of those things. So you have to kind of know that is going to be part of it as well. So if you want to be in maybe just the commercial world, stay non-union. Work some non-union jobs. There are definitely ways to submit yourself, different websites, Actors Access, casting networks. Try to get on some sets that way. Submit yourself, and if you see something great that you're right for, go for it. Make sure that you're never submitting on something that says maybe the rate is $500 and the usage is all media in perpetuity. That means that they can use it forever and ever, and all you get is $500. And it might be for a bank, and they decide to use it in 10 years when your career is really going well, and a competing bank wants to book you for a lot of money, but they see that, oh, wait, they're running you on their billboards we can't book you now, and then you're in trouble. So being careful of that when you are submitting yourself. It really helps agencies to know that you've been on a set and you've done some jobs, but then don't make our job harder when we do get to work with you by having all of these conflicts that you didn't make too much money on. I also will advise against stock photography. It can definitely make it harder for you to book jobs in this industry because, again, those are the photos that the person or the company has forever, and they can use it whenever and ever. I mean, I have friends who have ended up in ads. My one friend is on a gift card, a greeting card. I don't know if it's Hallmark or Walgreens or whatever it is, and he's also in Best Buy. So, but he didn't get any money for it. So it's like, it's cool you're out there, but don't do those things so that you can actually get paid for it. So I would say stay clear of that, even though it might be a booking and it might be great to, flex your skills, be careful of that. But in the industry, in the commercial industry, having an agent is definitely important. I wouldn't say most, but a lot of the casting directors go through us first before they put it out to the general public or people with memberships for different casting sites. They ask their agencies that they know. So we kind of get to the first pick of that. And they know that we've kind of vetted the talent and we know that they can be there and they're right for the job and they're right for the role, and it makes it easier on their part. So it's always easier to get into those rooms with casting directors, as well as the fact that we have like relationships with different companies or different places that you might not even know of. So having an agency can get you into those unknown rooms as well. So I would say getting that agent is important. How do you get an agent? Photos. You definitely need to have photos. You can have a headshot that you use for maybe your acting stuff to get going. But the great thing is that in our industry, you can have a portfolio. So you can have multiple shots of you standing up, sitting down, going for a walk, looking right at the camera at all times, fully engaging in the camera. But there can be a variety of photos in there. You don't have to have every emotion in one photo like a headshot usually does. And having a variety of photos helps the client to see kind of more about what you are and who you are and how you photograph if you are sitting down. And it allows you to kind of get more of an interaction with the casting director. They also know that if you have more photos, you might be less green. If you have one photo that they're submitting and the person another agency is submitting who is in your type, in your category, they have a full portfolio of different photos from different test shoots with photographers, not even, actual finished product from commercials they booked. They're going to go with the person that has more photos, that has a bigger portfolio, because it looks like, oh, they've done something before. You can cheat that a little bit by doing multiple test shoots, paid test shoots with a photographer to build your portfolio. If you have, I would say, 5-6 great photos in a portfolio, you're good to go. Maybe 2 photographers, so you can have a variety of outfits and the ways that they shoot, but always connecting to the camera, always wearing well-fitting clothing, neutral tones. If you're going to wear any accessories, very timeless pieces, I would say. Don't wear a choker. That would definitely show, oh, that's from 2018 or whatever it was. If you wear glasses most of the time, take some photos with glasses and without, but don't have any large earrings or large necklaces. Don't try to distract from yourself in any way in these photos, because it's about you. You're selling yourself in these photos. So if the photographer you're working with is kind of taking more scenery photos and it's a big tree and then there's a little bit of you in it, that's not who you want to work with. I know a lot of people are a little bit wary of spending money to get photos with photographers. We always caution, if you're not paying for it, it means that maybe the photographer isn't at the level of being able to, sell their ability to do it. So they might still be practicing and they might be trying to shoot specific photos for their portfolio and they're looking for a model. So you say, oh great, I'm going to get photos for my portfolio and I'll do this for free. And you do it and it's this, avant-garde thing where your face is all different, colors and you're in this tree and it's wild. That's not really what, Target's looking for. That's not what Pepto-Bismol is really looking for. So it might be a waste of your time. might be a cool photo, but you can't use it in the commercial world. So investing a little bit of money in a proper test shoot in your area or in a major market. You can just Google, commercial print photographer, or just commercial photographer, maybe even lifestyle photographer. Commercial and also lifestyle are kind of used interchangeably as in our world. So you can just Google that, and there are definitely photographers that are going to pop up in your area or a major city near your area. And best way to kind of pick what you want, who you want to work with, I always develop the idea of go on the websites of the agencies that you want to work with, or go on the Instagrams of the agencies that you want to work with. They're going to be posting the photos of their models that they are using as marketing materials for their clients. So those are the photos that we're using. And if you can match your photos to the photos that we're using, great. We're not a developmental agency in the sense that we don't really sign you or start working with you and then get you into a few photographers and warm you up. No, we are sending you out on everything you're right for as soon as we start working with you. So if you have those photos straight out the gate that we know are going to work for our casting directors and our clients, we can submit you today. We can submit you tomorrow, the day we start working with you. And you can go in or have your self-tape. So having those photos is important in the long run to make sure that you are with an agency and you can provide those photos for them to get the right clients and get the right jobs for you. You don't have to have them in the beginning. You don't, it's not a definite yes, make or break for an agency to start working with you. Typically we're asking for digitals or, just photos you take of yourself just so we can get a sense of what you look like. If you have professional photos, send them over to let us know, you've done this before. But if you don't have it, that's totally fine. Just send us some snapshots of you and we can go from there. But always try to have something to send the agencies that you're interested in because they need to see what you look like. We work in print, so we need to see how you look in a photograph. So have something to send over and be prepared for, whatever comes your way. Hopefully you'll be able to start working with an agency and, get going. But if not, maybe it was just because you sent some digitals, and take those photos that you have or take some photos and with a photographer and resubmit with those photos. Resubmit if you do get a booking through yourself. If you get a non-union job or a union job that you book yourself, let the agency know, hey, I'm booking with this casting director. We love to hear that as well. So be communicative with the agencies that you want to work with, and try to get the marketing materials, the photos that you need, based off of the work that they already have on their social media and their websites. So that's really how you get going. Trying to think what other knowledge I can give you in this moment other than just some kind of advice of, it is a hard industry. A lot of the time it's going to not be a personal thing that you have to take on if you don't book the job. It's because you might have blonde hair. It might be because you're a little bit too old or a little bit too tall for the daughter they already booked. But really anyone can do it. It just depends on the confidence that you have and the drive and the interest that you have in actually putting in the work. It might seem like it could be something fun to try and easy to do, but it does require some work. It requires you to take those photos and be open to rejection and be able to walk into a room and not know anyone and be able to perform and express wildly. But that's really what it takes for the people that are booking. We have a lot of people that book consistently, and I try to look at those people and say, they have just the right look, but also what makes them so bookable. And I believe it's just because they're very go with the flow. They are flexible when it comes to what they're asked of in the audition. Of course, if it's wild, they speak up for themselves, but they're able to kind of change on a dime. And they're the kind of people that are communicative with their agencies. They are able to respond quickly to anything that they have, any emails that they have from the agency, or any sort of communication. I know we speak through phone calls and emails, don't text me, but they're quick to respond and they're quick to get to their casting. They're not late for their castings. Those are the people that we like to work with, that we like to book, and our clients like to book as well. But having that unshakable perseverance that no matter what, if you want to be in this industry, it's there for you. There's jobs out there for you. And you're going to find that you might not think that you are right for it, but you're going to book it. And hey, I might be, you know, the next female construction worker of like every single construction company. Not what I thought it was going to be, but hello, I'm making money and I'm booking the commercials. And really lean into it. Lean into that power, because not everyone has a niche. Not everyone has that ability to book over and over. So I would just say try to be as fortified in your pursuits as possible, because people are going to say no, people are going to reject you, and they're going to be, you a model? But you are. I mean, I said so. Tony from Abbey Lynn Models says so. So go out and conquer, please. But if there's any questions, let me try to answer them as well.
Yeah. Do you guys, Lisa just said she had a question, and then maybe we can just have you each pipe up when you would like to ask.
Okay. Thank you, Tony, for being here today. This is amazing. But what I want to know and have been dying to ask is about the boomer market. And with your agency, is the boomer market increasing? I see pharmaceuticals, you know, we're the community. But so what's happening with the boomer market? What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, it is booming. But it's so funny how people, like I said, people don't think, oh, I'm older, I'm not a model. But how many things are being marketed to people in their 60s and their 70s when it comes, you could either be the doctor or the patient. Always new pharmaceutical things coming out. Always just, you can also be the grandma or grandpa in the Target ad. So there are so many avenues that you can kind of look at yourself and see, you know, where do I fit? It is so prevalent. I would say 2 of our highest bookers at our agency are in their 60s and 70s, because not only is it, there are a lot of jobs that are happening, but they pay well. It's pharmaceuticals. They're going to want to hold you to exclusivity so that you don't work for their competitor. And that's where there's some money in there as well. You can't work with a competitor for 2 years, but you got some money there to hold you over. So there's a lot going on. Luckily, it's funny because you don't feel like people in that bracket don't feel like they're a fresh face. They're like, oh, I've been here for a while. But to casting directors that don't know you, you are a fresh face, and you could be the next person in that type of commercial that they're looking for, because you're new to the industry, or you're new to those people. So having the right materials, having those photos from the get-go. In that part of the industry, you don't have to have a full portfolio, I would say. Few photos do, but the more photos, the merrier, for sure. There's stuff out there to be doing, for sure.
So can I ask you, do you recommend lifestyle commercial versus, you know, for boomers, or just whatever, lifestyle, this is what you're talking about, you know, pharmaceuticals, grandma, whatever, or just the top modeling, you don't get that much for seniors, for boomers?
Well, commercial and lifestyle, I would say, are synonyms. So they are all kind of part of that marketing advertising world. So they are marketing a product or a place, whatever. The fashion world, definitely there are, you know, boomers in the skincare category these days and things like that. But when it comes to editorials and runway for anyone, there really is not payment there. You might get the dress you walk down the runway on. You might get $250 to be in a Vogue editorial. But I just wouldn't suggest it for people who are interested in making money until you get to that level of the Gigi Hadids and those people who are just getting money for being in anything. So there are things out there in the skincare category. I did one last week, you know, for women in their 60s, but broadening the horizons and the ideas of what else can you do is definitely important as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
This is so beautiful. Let's see. So this is a question. I know you don't do kids directly, Tony, but someone asked, they said that Abrams is disbanding their, oh, Lynn, do you want to just ask yourself? Are you on?
Oh, hi, this is Michelle. Yeah, I think it's the question I asked. Hi, Tony. Thanks so much for all your information. Our 11-year-old daughter is represented by Abrams Artist, which is now A3. And we just found out that they are disbanding their New York Children's Youth Department and for commercial. And so we're wondering if there's a viable market in New York City for children and what should be our next steps.
I mean, there definitely is. There's always work for that age range as long as you have, the paperwork for it, the bank accounts for it, to be working under 18. I'm not sure like where you are in the world, but I would always suggest not coming to a major market or being part of a major market if you're just interested in doing like modeling or something. If you wanted to be an actor, if you want to do acting, modeling, all that kind of stuff, go for it and know the risks of it. There is work out there to be done in the commercial market for kids. Absolutely. I mean, toy brands, clothing companies, for sure. But being sure that it's a right lifestyle choice for you. I know for my parents, when I was 11, 12, 13, my dad was driving me in every day, not every day, I didn't get that many auditions, but driving me in a lot for auditions to New York City. And it took a toll, and it took money, to go through literally the Lincoln Tunnel toll. So knowing those risks, because there can be, down times, or there can be times where your look is not really working. So there are things to be doing, but it's not, I wouldn't say it's like the reason to be going to like a major market or working in a specific market, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that I couldn't agree with you more. She's actually a working actress. She has been in some films. And so we were represented by Abrams on both sides, for film and for commercial. But when we were kind of a little blindsided when we found out that they're no longer going to do commercial for youth in New York. So we didn't know, should we look for someone else in New York? Should we look at LA? I mean, I don't know where to go from here. Yeah,
I mean, these days you can do self-tape, so you can go wherever you like. But the answer to the question is like, yes, there is work out there for that age range. But I would probably just take some stock of like what the pursuits are specifically, and like if there is a lot of interest in the commercial world, then like go for it. But when you started working with them, was it, oh, we can also do this as well, and it's going well now, try to figure out what is best for you, because it's a hard market for the kids. The pay is not as much. It's not gonna, pay the family bills. So I would say just give it a second and figure it out. Because also with the pandemic and different agencies doing different things, let it settle a little bit, I would say, and then see kind of where people are with their agencies and how it's going, and make that decision.
Okay, great.
All right.
Thank you so much.
You guys, let's not do the two-part questions, because we have a lot of people that would like to ask questions, just the one question. So Dabina, do you want to ask your question? I think that's a good one.
Good evening, Tony.
Hello.
Hi, good evening, everyone from Nigeria. Okay, my question is it okay to take headshots with facial hair, or does it reduce your chances of being booked?
Everyone always asks it in that way, but if you think about the way that marketing is looking, if they're interested in booking someone with facial hair, they'll say it, and then they'll book that person. My only thing would be is if you are consistently having facial hair, then stay with the facial hair. But if it's something that you're not sure of, and I would probably say to not have facial hair, just because it will broaden your ability to work in different markets and different clients and things like that. Excuse me. Because it gives you kind of more of that aspirational look, everyman look, where you can be, the doctor or the father. But if it's just the way that you are always going to be, then definitely have photos that have that on there. Main thing is not to surprise the client in any way. Or if you have photos with the facial hair and then they book you with it and you're like, well, I can, grow it in 3 weeks, but you're booked for tomorrow, it ain't gonna work. So being cognizant of that as well.
So is it okay to have photos of both the facial hair and without the facial hair?
Yeah, both.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right. So Joyce, would you like to ask one question?
Only answering one. Is it working?
Joyce, go ahead and unmute yourself if you'd like to ask. All right, moving on. Krista, can you unmute yourself?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I was wondering, I live in Minnesota, and I was wondering if someone can be successful outside of a major market, because you mentioned you work with a lot of different people.
Yeah, you definitely can be, I mean, success is relative, but you can do work in almost any market in, Minnesota, wherever you are. It's just about seeking out those smaller market agencies and making sure that there is an agency in your area, or if it's not, where is the most major agency that's close to you, and then, start working with them on that level. It's harder to be in a different state and book New York jobs, I would say, pre-pandemic, because New York is a major market, and unless they're looking for something super specific, they know that they're going to have tons of people to be at their castings. So to live in in Minnesota, Oklahoma, and not think and be able to be as successful as someone who is in New York, being in front of those casting directors, it's just not gonna happen if it comes to, when we go back in person. I mean, now we're all doing self-tapes, so you can be wherever, and then hopefully they'll do a callback for a virtual callback, and then they'll fly you to the job. So that opens up a lot of successful doors. At the same time, it opens up, anyone can kind of send tapes now, as opposed to being at those castings. So the doors are opening up a little bit more in that sense. But it all depends on the hustle, I would say, fully. Because if you have an agency in New York and you're in Minnesota, but you don't hear from them, or you're not submitting yourself in Minnesota or in New York, then it's just not going to work. You have to put in that effort as well.
Okay, thank you.
Sean, do you want to ask your question?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. I logged in late. I just wanted to know, how do you know what agency is right for you?
Well, you definitely do the research on the Google, and look at who they're representing. If they're representing people that look like they're only, very high fashion models, and they're, only doing runway stuff or editorials, and that's really not your bag, and that's not what you think you're going to be doing, because you might not be, tall enough for it, or whatever it is. Go on their websites and see the kind of people that they're representing, and then submit over there. And I mean, most of the websites or the information out there about agencies, it kind of talks about what kind of work they do and what kind of models they represent. Because there are places that there's one place called, Expecting Models, which only works with pregnant models. So doing your research to make sure that if you are a guy, maybe not sending your information there, because it's all out there. But hopefully you'll be able to match up, and you submit and they say, oh, you're right for us, and you go in, and then you kind of have to meet the agent and make sure that they're doing the kind of work that you want to be doing. You can ask them questions, just as they're going to ask you questions. What kind of work are you booking? You can't specifically ask what are your clients, but get a sense of how they work, who they're working with these days, what kind of communication they like. If you get any of those red flags of, if you don't hear from me in a while, remind me who you are. It's the kind of, you need to kind of be able to vet it for yourself and realize, and connect yourself to the people that look as if they're working and constantly going to be working for you. When you're in the agency and they don't get one call, they're not checking their email once, and there's nothing coming in, and they seem very chill about it, you're like, wait a second, maybe there's not a lot of work here. They might be, spitting a good game, but I don't know. So having that kind of red flag meter as well, because as much as we all want agents, as much as we all want those opportunities that agents provide, you do gotta be careful. You gotta make sure that they're not gonna be sending you on to things you're not right for. And if you work with an agency and they send you out for something that you're uncomfortable with, and then they push you and they say, oh, it's not a big deal, you gotta go. You have the right to figure it out and figure out the way you gotta exit. Even if you sign a contract, figure it out. But don't let it get to that point where you aren't sure about a person yet. So yeah, kind of feel it out. Hopefully you can work with them on a freelance basis, get some castings from them, and make sure that it's kind of the stuff you want to go out for. And if not, having that conversation with the agent, and if it still doesn't change, head it on out.
Thank you.
Sure.
Can you elaborate a little bit about how to find your ideal, most aspirational hairstyle or
Sure.
hair color cut?
Yeah, I mean, with hair, the most natural version of you that you can maintain is the best. Unless you're, a brunette and you want to go fully blonde, like go blonde, don't have the roots, like be a blonde. Because in the commercial world, they're marketing all over the country or all over the globe. So that aspirational look is someone with either a natural hair color or it's a specific color they're asking for. So the more work that you're going to get more work if your hair is, one tone, a little bit more natural looking. You can have highlights and things like that. Like that's not a big deal. But I would shy away from like having half of your hair pink or all of your hair like a neon color, not because it's like bad or like I'm not like trying to stop you from being yourself, but like clients are not as open to that as you might think. Spencer's Gifts loves it. So you might be working for Spencer's Gifts a few times, but there are certain clients that aren't marketing to people with green hair because it's, for the older set. So you might not get those jobs, but the hair that you can have consistently, that you can walk into a casting with, if you have wigs, have photos with them with the wigs, great. But just try to maintain a specific hairstyle. Don't chop it off and not tell your agency, because we are marketing you with photos with long hair and then it's an issue. But like consistency is key and as natural as it can be to give you the most broad ability to book.
That's such a good answer. Will you tell people how they can submit respectfully to you and how to find Abby Lynn and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so if you want to submit over to us, best way is to do it on our website at abbylynnmodels.com. We have a kind of chart that you can put in all of your sizes and your photos and everything you know about yourself in there. Give us a little bio. That's just the best way that we like to organize our submissions. I look through them every day. So I am always making sure that we are getting the talent in. Right now, it's taking a little bit of time to get them in and have like calls and things like that. So, if you don't hear from us in 6 months in this situation, resubmit, maybe tell us that you've, booked a new job. Always go through our website, and that's probably the best way to do it. Follow us on Instagram at abbylynnmodels.com. Follow me at tonytilli.com. Or not .com, excuse me, at tonytilli and then at Abbey Lynn Models. Yeah, follow us there. Don't DM me or DM the agency there. It's just not the way that we work. We might scout that way, but do not come in, hey, I saw you over here, great to see you. I'm not checking those for that. Always go with the way that the agency kind of sets it up for you. But follow us, because we are posting things when we need specific things. When we're looking for things we might not have at our agency, we'll post and say, hey, anyone out there have a twin? And then you can submit to us if you have a twin. So submit to us that way. If you love the beautiful artwork behind me, it is, I think it's at stuff_Avery_makes. Wonderful artist out of Los Angeles. She makes t-shirts and mugs. It's wonderful. But yeah, feel free to submit your information, and we'd love to see you. Love to hear from you.
Thank you so much for your time. I've gotten a few other questions just saying like to elaborate more, but I think it's some of the stuff that Tony already talked about. So you can watch the recording of this in a couple days on our YouTube, Shine by Carrie Lewis. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you everyone for participating, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you guys so much.